Thanks for tuning in. This is Carmicast, our second episode. I'm your host, Denton Weiss. Co-host to my right, Skylar Anderson.
How's it going?
And today's guest is Ryan Osborne.
What's going on?
Ryan owns a home-based business he calls Ryno's, R-Y-N-O''S, Ryno's 3D Print Shop. You can find him on Facebook at facebook.com/Ryno 3D Printing Service. Email Ryno3dprints@gmail.com. So, I think we need to start out for somebody like my dad who is not going to have a clue what any of this stuff is or how it works. What is 3D printing?
Okay, so everybody thinks of 3D printing as your basic at-home inkjet. You know, you print off a document and spits it right out and it's done.
And 2 weeks later, you run out of ink.
Exactly, and you got to go pay a fortune for more ink. 3D printing is done in layers, basically. If I printed one layer, that's a two-dimensional object. Let's say you have a loaf of bread, and whenever it's uncut loaf of bread, that's a three-dimensional object. If I were to cut that into slices, then I would turn it into two-dimensional objects. So this is how the printer would work, is basically laying down a layer at a time and slicing it one piece at a time and then stacking it on top of each other, one layer at a time. And then that, once you get to the end of that, you're going to have a three-dimensional object.
It kind of reminds me of have you ever seen the 3D puzzles?
Yeah,
where
you would stack them on top of each other and it forms. That's basically what it is. Whenever you do a 3D print, you do your model, but then you also have to run it through what's called a slicer program, and this is where it takes the three-dimensional object that you created and it slices it. It slices it down to each layer, and then that turns it into what's called a G code, is what the printer reads, and then.
So does it slice it into the thickness of the filament that you'll be using?
That is determined on the settings that I would use. I can change my settings down, to just about everything, how wide I want the line to be. If I want a really fine detailed print, I would print at 0.1 millimeters, which is going to come out very thin.
And that's how you get this smooth texture.
Yeah, that's partly that, is printing at a very high detail, and also a lot of sanding. So there does take a little bit of elbow grease if you really want to make your prints really pop. But there is other printers that you don't have to worry about that, where you don't get those layer lines where you can see where it was sliced and built up from the ground up. And those are called SLA printers. I run one of those as well, but they require a lot more work post in the post part of it, of after it's printed. You have to, because you're using chemicals. It's a liquid plastic, and it can be toxic. I have to wear a mask and stuff like that. So I really like sticking with the FDM printers. If I want to make something really intricate and just something that's just can't be done because of overhangs and things, because when you print with something on an FDM printer, like say if I printed something where its arms are hanging out or up, I've got to print something to support that arm, because that's not going to be able to print in midair. It's not going to dry that fast. It's going to start to droop, and you're going to get layers just hanging strings.
So it'd have to be something that you could snap off later.
Yes.
It would be a real thin, just support beam, essentially.
Yes, yeah. You have to have those supports so it can have something to lay those layers onto. And sometimes they can be a pain in the butt, because you have you snap off a support, and you might snap off a piece of your print along with it. They actually make materials now. If you run a dual extrusion printer, which is like you can use two colors at once. They make a water-soluble material now, to where you can do one material as your main print that you're printing with, and then do your other material as your supports. And once you do that, you put it in a bath, and it literally washes away the supports like they were never there.
They've thought of everything.
They have literally thought of everything.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm assuming your first printer was a...
It was the original ANET A8, one of the first printers by the company ANET. They you can get their printers, I think, at anet3d.com. They started off with a DIY. I've always been into DIY stuff. You know, I love building stuff myself. So I got that one actually as a gift, and it literally came in a box just full of parts. And the only instructions that were there with that at the time, because they were literally a startup, you know, just getting started, they had a video on YouTube of someone assembling it with no audio. So it's just a guy, just no audio, just sitting there putting it together. And I watched it, and I couldn't do it piece by piece. So then I literally watched the entire video, what he did, and then I just went to it all by myself. And luckily for me, I was able to get it in one shot and got it all together. It took me about 13 hours.
You know, that's good, though, because now that you've put one together beginning to end, do you feel like you can troubleshoot better?
I can troubleshoot anything on the printer now, yeah. And also that I could build my own printer. I mean, once you actually put it together, you realize that it's not that complicated of a machine. It can easily be built once you learn the ins and outs of it. I mean, it's a really simple system. Really, the only tough part is going to be your software and everything, and you know, and your firmware that you're using in the printer.
Do you remember what so for like a kid at home wanting to get into 3D printing? Do you remember what your first one cost?
My first one, yeah, the one it was gifted to me. It was $160, which is, I mean, super cheap. I mean, for what the printer, what you can do with the 3D printer. I mean, what amazes me about 3D printing is when you were a kid and you drew pictures and you know, you thought of something that just came from your mind alone and you drew it out, you know, it was just a picture. You took it home, your parents hung it on the fridge, you know, and whatnot. But now I can be, you know, out and about. I have an idea, you know, of something I want to make or build or something I want to fix at home or whatever. I have an idea. I can go home. I can sit down at my desk. I can get on my computer. I can model it out in a program, and I can make it come into existence right then from my home. Before then, if I had an idea and I wanted it to come into existence, I had to contact a manufacturer. I'd have to pay for molds. You'd have to order at least, you know, 500 to 1,000 of the things just to get it. And now
you'd have a lot more invested in it.
Exactly. Yeah. And it could, you know, it could just be a flop if it's an idea that you're trying to sell. Now, you know, I can come up with better ways I might buy a product, you know, offline, you know, and then something break on it. I can replace it. I can 3D print it. You know, like a dishwasher. You know, a dishwasher has wheels on the bottom. The dishwashing companies don't make replacement wheels.
Right.
So you can, you know, you break a wheel. I can go in the office and I can print up a wheel in 30 minutes, and it's fixed. And I just saved myself from having to buy a new dishwasher that costs $300. I think that's a big part of 3D printing is being able to save a lot of money. You don't realize how much money you can save by not, you know, keeping things in your house going a lot longer than they normally would. Most companies build things, they don't want it to last forever. But with 3D printing, you can make a product last 10 times longer than normally it might go. Which is, I mean, just, it's awesome. It's unbelievable, really. I mean, all the things that can be done. I mean, you got doctors, you know, you can make prosthetics, you know. I know a lot of people making prosthetics, hands, legs. I mean, even for animals. I saw a wildlife reserve. They had a turtle come in that's beak or its mouth had been broken off, and they used a 3D printer and they scanned it with a 3D scanner and modeled a replacement piece to
because we want that turtle looking good.
Yeah. I mean, he looked awesome. He had a titanium piece, you know, titanium 3D printed jaw. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he was very intimidating to the rest of the pond, but he.
Well, wasn't there a movie about a dolphin that lost
something about a fin? Didn't
they
3D print a fin for it or something?
Yeah, I think it was called Dolphin Tail,
something like
that. Yeah, I mean, and it's stuff like that. I mean, it's amazing. I've seen a lot of people that have helped a lot of veterans, that have lost limbs, in combat, and can't afford, to go and get, a top of the line prosthetic, And the great thing about 3D printing is, it can be made just for you. A lot of those prosthetics, they're assembly lined. And
one size fits all.
Exactly, and that hurts sometimes worse than not having a prosthetic at all. I mean, rubbing against the skin, and everything else, and they can make it to where it's made just for you, and I think that's awesome. I mean,
I seen a video a few years back of a guy had a 3D printing pancake machine. His kid would draw pictures the night before, and he would scan these into this thing, and whatever the kid drew the night before is what his pancake would look like the next morning. So, I mean, we've got pancake is filling it now, so I'm assuming there's concrete.
There's concrete. They're in California, they're making houses. They can build a house in less than 24 hours. I mean, on average, they run anywhere from about 300 to 500 square feet. I mean, you see all these politicians talking about, how we're going to solve the homeless problem. Well,
tiny homes.
The solution's there. Just, put the money into it and get to it. Because, I mean, you can build a house in 24 hours. I mean, in 1 year, I mean, you got multiple printers running houses. I mean, heck, we could solve a lot of problems. And there's so much more to it that you can do. A lot of things that they're doing is metal 3D printing. I mean, you can do metal, and you can do chocolate 3D printing. I mean, it goes on and on and on. I mean, they keep on coming up with more and more stuff that's adding on to the original idea of 3D printing. 3D printing actually started back in around, I'm wanting to say the mid 90s is whenever they were really using it, but
it was expensive.
It was expensive. It was strictly used for corporations that were making prototypes and whatnot. It was not a consumer product, and no regular consumer could afford it, and it couldn't fit in your house unless you had a mansion. But now, literally, I've got
everything always gets cheaper.
Yeah, and it gets cheaper and it gets smaller.
Yeah, we got 2 of them just sitting right here.
Yeah.
That's just because these are the ones that fit in your car.
Yeah. I mean, I can literally, I have 6 printers in total, in my office, and my office ain't that big. So, I mean, it's pretty crazy what you can do. I mean, there's guys out there that are actually running printing farms, where they're running, 200 to 500 printers at one time, just renting out warehouses and just shooting out stuff. I know one guy, he does nothing but cookie cutters, and that's all he does. He's got like 300 printers and cookie cutters after cookie cutter. So
let's see some of the end products here that you've got laid out.
Well, all right.
Let's start with the best Christmas movie ever.
The best Christmas movie ever would have to be Gremlins. Now, anybody says that Gremlins is not a Christmas movie, I do not take that as the truth. That is false.
Yeah.
It's the best Christmas movie.
Yes.
Gizmo. Just don't
So
get him
cool.
wet.
Yeah, don't get him wet, and he doesn't turn into looking like that.
And these are all hand painted by you,
Yeah.
correct?
They are hand painting, yes.
You can
I
see all the
actually,
details in there.
it's taken a while. It took me a while to actually get that down. I'm getting a little bit better with each print.
It's really cool.
And then, we have things like this that are called. This is called Voss mode. It's a mode that you can do with a printer, to where it's a single wall print. It's completely hollow, so it just prints one single wall and just continuously goes in motion till it gets to the top and finishes. And this here is basically just like a Christmas tree where you put a tea light underneath it and light up. These types of prints go really fast because you don't have to worry about infill. Infill is basically what makes a print strong, such as the Gremlin. He's got a lot of infill in him, so he's not. If I dropped him, he's not just going to shatter. Not going to break. Even if he wouldn't shatter, but possibly a piece of him, his ear or something, could break off.
This one's my favorite. Well, I don't know. I'm torn between.
You're
these
torn
two.
between the alien and the pyramids.
Yeah,
they're both kind of the same thing.
Let me hold that one up close so you can see all the detail here.
That is an exact replica of the Pyramid of Giza. And that was one of my first prints that I ever did. That was done on the A8. on the DIY printer. So that's on a printer that I built directly up from parts, and that's what it was capable of.
That's the coolest thing right there.
It's a $160 printer was able to do that.
Showing all the chambers on the inside. That's really cool.
Yeah, for that kind of detail for $160 is pretty impressive for the company that
Let's see the gray.
Mr. Gray here.
Yeah.
That one was done on the ANET A8 Plus. I did a lot of sanding on him, but he turned out really well because I changed the quality on it, because you can change the quality by how large of the line that comes out of your extruder. And the best one that can get really good detail is a 0.01 millimeter. And it creates a much finer detail, and you get a lot less layer lines, because when you print, like I said, it slices into layers, so you can see those layers as they come up, and you see the little spaces in between the layers. But the finer that lines that you print, the more of those you won't see.
Let's do one more here. How about Homer? I like him just because he's got a lot of detail.
Yeah, Homer turned out really nice, and Homer was printed. That's the original print of Homer, and I printed him up, and I just kept thinking that he needed something else, because Homer, if he's got his mouth open, Homer's eating.
Yeah.
So I had to model up a little donut to give Homer, so
Now,
he could
this one is so
scarf that
detailed.
down.
I mean, it's crazy. You can see even the glisten on the frosting.
Yeah,
It's so
I
cool.
came up with little simple things to get that kind of detail, that glimmer and stuff, to look like icing, and everything. That's actually done with women's clear coat nail polish.
Oh,
It actually works amazing for little stuff like that. Normally, I would use a regular clear coat, like spray can, but on stuff like that, sometimes a little bit of nail polish actually does the trick.
let's take a quick look at this one too.
Oh yeah,
This one's my favorite. I
the
think
Mandalorian.
the painting is so cool on this one.
It turned out really good. I still have some more detail to paint into them and give them a little bit of shade. I'm working on getting an airbrush gun sent out, and then I can really get into some shading and really just kind of make the piece pop a little bit more. But I know a lot of people are loving the Mandalorian right now, with the whole Disney Plus. So I printed him up and thought maybe someone might like him.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And then also we have anybody that's a fan of the Lord of the Rings. I have to say this is probably my best paint job.
Yeah, that one is
of Gollum.
cool.
He's always looking for his precious.
Well, let's show these people put this thing in action. So let's take a quick break. We'll fire this 3D printer up, and then maybe as we talk, we can go back and forth, and they can see how this thing works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
This the printer that we're gonna run on is the ANET A8 Plus. If you're ever interested in getting a printer, I would recommend that one. The original one that I got, if you're not good at putting things together as a DIY, this would be the next best thing.
Perfect.
Good to
The
go.
time has
See you.
come, and you're ready to pop that big question. Now what? When it comes to engagement rings, the first thought you may have is to head to Evansville, only to find yourself dealing with a pushy salesperson, a showcase full of rings every girl already has, and high prices. Hey everyone, this is Cody Gottman, owner of HD Bean Jewelers. Skip the headache and let me build you a one-of-a-kind custom engagement ring that is made right here, Main Street in Carmel, Illinois. I personally handle every custom design, so you get to work with a real jeweler, not some salesperson. Every ring is built in-house and comes full backed with a lifetime warranty and service plan. If you're worried about financing, we do that too. Stop by the showroom anytime and let's talk engagement rings.
So that brings us to the pandemic. So the pandemic hits. Yeah. Everybody's freaking out, can't find masks.
Yeah.
And that brings us to these guys?
Yeah. I started off, as soon as everything started, I started seeing all over TV, everybody was underprepared. We weren't prepared for a pandemic. We didn't have enough masks. We didn't have enough face shields. We didn't have a lot of things. And, I'm part of a lot of 3D printing communities, and I started seeing guys talking about it and, thinking about what we could do and what we could offer. And it just kind of took off. You know, everybody started doing their designs. You know, I designed a piece for a face shield, you know, and I actually have one. Let me grab it really fast. Let me grab it.
Yeah, so this thing here, he actually printed in the studio, and that, would you call that an ear saver? Yes. And that goes behind your head, so instead of wrapping your mask around your ears, the straps would hit these things, and, you know, I mean, some people have to wear masks all day long, and I'm assuming that drives the back of your ears nuts.
If you can read this, you were too close. I like it.
Yeah, so when I first started out, I didn't have the capital to be able to buy a whole lot of material, and plus I didn't know where I'd be able to find a good material for the face shield part, the plastic. So I actually started just hitting emails, you know, of companies, and then I actually got a hold of Barry Global out of Evansville.
Barry Plastics?
Barry Plastics, and they actually donated a 500-foot roll of anti-fog material that they were using, and donated it to me. And so I went and picked that up, and then once from there, you know, I got the design out for the face shield, and just started pumping them out and just giving them away. You know, I donated it out to Carmine Community Health Center, the doctor's office next to Casey's gas station, the tents that were all set up, you know, throughout town. You know, anybody that needed one, you know, I tried to supply them with them. You know, Joyful Start, you know, the daycare, I took them some.
How many do you think you made over the whole course of the whole deal?
If face shields and ear savers, just PPE in general, it's in the thousands. I mean, I didn't really keep count, but it was definitely a lot. At one point, when I was really into it, I mean, I was literally printing 24/7. I mean, all day and all night. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of leaving my printers running while I'm sleeping, even though I take precautions. I keep a fire detector, you know, right above all my printers, and, you know, I have a fire extinguisher, and, you know, because anything can go wrong. Printers are not known to do that, but, you know, it can happen.
Oh, yeah.
You know, especially when you're running multiple printers, you know, you're putting a lot of load on your electricity, and, you know, and you can get something that blows, and
if it can happen, it eventually will.
Yeah. But lucky for me, I've never had any of that issue, and a lot of people in the community have not had that issue. You'll see that some people have said that, you know, oh well, you know, mine burn up, you know. Well, that comes down to maintenance. Whenever you have a 3D printer, you're running a machine, and you know, it's not like your iPhone, and, you know, it just is going to keep working and working and working. You know, you've got to keep maintenance. You got to check your wires, make sure you got good connections, and everything else, because if you don't, eventually you're going to have an issue. And that's something I've always trying to keep up on, is just, you know, at least, you know, once a month I go over the whole printer, and sometimes take it apart, you know, clean it up, you know, keep a thing of canned air around, keep dust away from it, and everything like that.
Do you think some of those other guys you were talking to in the community was also donating?
Oh yeah, very much. I didn't even see it till later on, but actually I was contacted by a guy out of New York that wanted to see if I wanted to join their group, where they had created a network of people all across the United States. And basically he had contacted, you know, the hospitals in New York, and, you know, in Atlanta, and all these places, and was basically kind of getting a contract with them to send out free PPE. And he was basically trying to create a network of all of us, you know,
genius
printer guys, you know, to start basically printing out for certain places and certain hospitals. And I didn't see that because I'd already started my own. I kind of went solo and just started doing my own. You know, being in a small town, you know, I knew that I could probably make a difference being in a small town and be able to help out.
And I'm assuming a lot of this, not just for you, but people that were doing this all across the country, all came to a screeching halt as soon as the big companies started shelling them out. And now, I mean, there's hundreds of masks at any store you walk in.
Yeah, they kind of made a mockery of it, honestly. It kind of peed me off a little bit. I wasn't too happy about it, you know, because I went to Walmart and I see, Haynes, got a box, buy 3, 3 masks, and why, this is a serious thing, we're dealing with, and you guys are, hopped right on the wagon, to make a profit.
Yeah.
And us 3D printing community, we're giving our stuff away for free. A lot of those guys, we're barely making it, during this pandemic, and not be, people can't really spend the money on 3D prints and stuff like that. So we're not really making a lot of profit during this time. So we're donating our time and resources and everything else. And that's why I end up having to call around and see if anybody would be willing to donate. Some companies, and like Barry Plastics was kind enough, to donate, and it really worked out well. But I can't believe some of the companies that have come out with some of the things they have. You got, now they're doing the kids mask. Oh, you want to be a dinosaur for a day,
Right.
with your mask.
I want a mask that looks like my face from the nose down.
They actually
They
make
make
them. They make
Of course
them.
they
I
do.
saw a dude.
I just
Facebook.
saw. Yeah, I just saw it. Was it called like Mocker or something?
Something like that.
Like
He-
Mocker.com.
You
or
take a
some weird
picture of
thing.
your face, and he like legit hand paints.
Yeah.
Like, exactly what your face would look like.
I always said when I'd watch these movies like Zorro or, any Western where they go rob a bank and the only thing they do is put a handkerchief over their, from their mouth down. I'm like, you idiots. I can still tell who you are. Of course, I knew the actor, but now when I see people out and I can't see the bottom half of their face, if I know them real well, I know them. But
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people like, I think that's who it is, but I'm going to look like an idiot if I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, Bob. And
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
Yeah. I did that just the other day in Walmart. I saw somebody, and I probably freaked them out because I kept looking at them and squinting, and then I just said their name, and then they
What are you
looked up.
staring at, sir?
Yeah.
Well, you got a
Yeah.
boog hanging. Yeah, so we were talking about this the other day, and of course, when I see something like this, I think, this is like a little desktop version. So eventually,
Yeah.
someone's going to have one the size of a warehouse, and maybe I was either telling him or maybe I was talking to you about this, and I was like, they'll eventually figure out a way to print concrete. And was it you? And you're like, they already have.
They already have.
It's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, there's a few companies. I know there's one out in California. They've made it to where they can print I want to say about a 350 square foot home in less than 24 hours.
Like what do they call those? Those little tiny
Little
homes.
Tiny homes, yeah. Stuff like that.
In how many hours?
In less than 24 hours.
Yeah, so you could build a house in a week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
easily. Yeah, and there was another company. It's out of China. I don't know what the name of the company was. Actually, I'd watched a documentary about his company, and he had done a mansion. I think it was 1,000 square meters. Okay, and it was done in less than a week.
Out of concrete?
Out of concrete. Yeah,
And we'll figure, they'll come up with other material where they don't have to use concrete. And
Yeah, I think some of them are making their own kind of mixtures because you're going to have to, because whenever you're printing, you got to have a good constant flow of material that's going to come out. And if you're just using basic concrete, you're going to wind up with a clog after clog after clog. It's got to be smooth, but it's also got to have a good dry time.
Yeah.
And everything else, because you're going to start seeing, edges, melting down off the sides and everything else. And another great thing about it is when you do a 3D printed house, I don't even think you really have to worry about like installation, because the house itself is installation, the way it's being made.
Yeah, if you made it thick enough, it'd be bulletproof.
Yeah, it would. It's endless to what can be done. There's another company out of California right now that's making rockets, because you can also 3D print with metal. A lot of people don't know. There's metal 3D printers out there, and how it works is it lays down a powder. They take the metal and they grind it down into a fine powder, and basically it'll lay out your first layer with powder, and then it comes back with a high-powered laser and melts that powder. So then you just keep going, and you keep going and building it up. And then there's a company out there in California that's making rockets, that normally I think would take them 12 months to make one. and they're making one in a week, I think. Now, I think that's what it was. A week is how long it's only taken. So
Wow.
things like that is going to propel, like, space exploration. It's going to shoot us ahead by 20 years.
Well, and it'd have to be a lot cheaper to do that, I feel like, in the long run.
Oh yeah, most definitely, much cheaper compared to doing it the traditional way. You got to think about labor and and everything. I mean, it takes a lot more time.
It would be nice if a modern day genius like Elon Musk could figure out a way to use he wants to go to Mars bad.
Yeah.
So in his case, figure out a way to scoop up Martian soil and figure out a way to mix something with it that you can find on Mars to where it would harden.
Yeah.
You send a rover up there with a 3D printer on it, and that thing could be building pods and bases while we're down here watching Tiger King.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 4 years from now, when we send an astronaut up there,
Or maybe
they already have basically a room built.
Yeah.
Without, from what I understand, the hardest part about space, especially going that far, is keeping that human being alive. I mean, we've had a rover on Mars for how long, and it's doing fine.
Yeah.
I
mean, years and years. I mean,
or the moon.
yeah.
Figure out a way to collect moon dust and
The company that I was talking about doing the rockets, they've actually they're making terrain rockets for low orbit, space orbit. And what they want to do in the future, they're saying, is to actually send a printer to Mars and then start making the rockets on Mars, so then they can.
we don't have that far to travel.
Exactly, they can get even further away and see what's beyond the reaches of space. And I think it's gonna happen. I mean, things are gonna take a big turn here real soon when it comes
Well, I
to this
sure hope
technology.
so.
It really is.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, like I said, I'd say anywhere from 10 to 20 years, everyone will have a 3D printer in their home for things, and then most major companies will be using 3D printers. I mean, it's cut out so much time for somebody to create a prototype of something, and then they can have that prototype 3D printed up and ready to go, in a matter of days, compared to, before they had to have the molds made and everything else. And
Well, like me, I had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, had 6 different TVs over at Gotsy's, which means 6 remotes, which means 6 storage locations to keep said remotes. So I had him come and measure the remotes and printed us holders for him. It even has our logo on it. And there was a certain spot on the wall I wanted to keep them all organized. And it just looks so much cleaner with those hung up there.
see, that's the thing about, I say that everybody will have them in their home, because a lot of people don't think about the small things that the printer can do. Like if something breaks in your house, like I had a knob on my washer break, my washer and dryer, and at first I thought, I'm gonna have to go buy a new one, but then I thought, well, why would I do that? I got a 3D printer,
Right.
and I went upstairs, modeled it. Next thing you know, I got a brand new handle. Same thing goes, break your handle on your fridge, you can 3D print that. You can do anything in your house basically can be replaced, by a 3D printed part.
So
I could
that's-
actually see companies letting you have the schematics for parts, so and to make more money.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the factory to build them. All you got to do is have one designer figure out a way to design it and let them download the parts at home.
Yeah.
We probably charge $1 a piece for them, and we don't have to pay for all the material, the shipping, the packaging,
Yep.
So pretty much that would probably be how we're going to get there. Like in the 20-year span that we're talking about, everybody's going to have one at their home. Instead of having instructions in with your new Maytag washer or whatever you get, you would probably have a USB file or something that would have replacement parts.
Yeah.
To be able to fix the spring or whatever you need.
Yeah. I mean, even with that printer there, I can print replacement parts for the printer itself. With my very first printer that was made out of acrylic, I can 3D print the entire frame of that printer and build an entirely new printer. and all I have to buy is the stepper motors and the extruder
So you
and
can
the wiring. So I can basically clone
you can
a
make
printer.
a 3D printer with a 3D printer.
Yes.
That's what we need on Mars.
That's how you make profit right there. You just start making
Yeah.
3D printers.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's nuts when you think about it, really. It really
I
is.
remember when 3D printers first came out, and this is probably when they were thousands and thousands of dollars. There was a big uproar across the nation, I'm assuming the world, because people were printing
Guns.
yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
They were printing guns, parts to guns, and
The
that
only-
a lot of people didn't like that.
Wasn't it the only thing that you couldn't make for the gun was the firing pin?
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Well, the barrel, you got in the barrel, you will have to be metal too to support all the.
Well, there was a guy, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, but he created an entirely 3D printed gun.
Yeah, he was in the movie with Clint Eastwood, guy from Benton,
Gosh.
John Malkovich.
No.
Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah,
Line of Fire?
Line of Fire. Yeah,
He
He did have a gun that was 3D printed. That is right. Yeah.
and he kept the bullets in a rabbit's foot.
Yep.
That's what how he got it through.
That's right.
Metal detectors.
That is right. But the one that the guy made, he ended up going to the Supreme Court because the government shut him down real quick because
Of course they did.
Yeah, because they knew. Because it was everybody started printing them. And they're not really sturdy weapons. They can be very dangerous. You're talking about plastic and you're firing an actual bullet, through a plastic barrel. No telling what's going to happen. He actually showed video of him actually testing it, and it worked. But how many
times?
bullets?
Yeah.
How many rounds are you going to get? Is that fourth, fifth round going to blow up in your face? And you're going to have shards of plastic all in your eyes. But
3D print a face shield.
yeah. You can just do it all. Just 3D print everything.
Print goggles
Armor.
so that you can shoot your 3D printed gun.
You could. Other weapons you could make too. Heck, I could make a bow and arrow. I could make a crossbow. I made a crossbow, a little miniature handheld one that shot toothpicks.
Could you make knives with them? Could you potentially make it? You would just have to sharpen it afterwards.
Well, wait a
correct?
minute. You did make. You made like brass knuckles or a knife.
I made. My girlfriend went on a bachelorette party with our good friends, and they went to New Orleans. And they were going to Bourbon Street.
Yeah, you got to have a knife on
I
Bourbon
thought,
Street.
I said, oh my God, because I stayed down. I used to stay down there for about 6 months, and I was on Bourbon Street a lot, and there was a lot of robberies and everything. And I thought, man, this is just a big group of girls, and they're all gonna be out drinking, and they got to have something. So I printed them what looked like cats. They look like little cats with ears, but the ears were actually pointy.
Oh,
and
I've seen those before.
Their eyes had finger holes was where the eyes were. And it's basically just a puncher, just like a pair of brass knuckles, but instead of, made out of metal, it just had pointy ends. So if you punch somebody right in the throat with one of those things,
That'd hurt.
It's going to hurt really bad.
It'd run them off for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. But couldn't find out when they got down there, they actually got stopped by a police officer, and supposedly in New Orleans, they're actually illegal, which blows my mind because you can carry around carry a 9 on your hip, but you can't have a plastic kitty cat in your hand?
I went to Bourbon Street once, and the one thing I remember about it was how many people I just saw pissing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Like in the alley or on the street.
Just pissing?
You can't have brass knuckles, but...
You can piss anywhere you want.
Yeah. Or you can open up your own little beer stand right inside the alley.
Well,
Yeah, I've seen that.
if they have a street where you can buy 172 ounce beer, one big beer like that, then you're going to piss in the street.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Well, hey, I think that's a good spot to we'll take a quick break, stretch our legs, and hear from one of our sponsors, and we will be right back. Hi, I'm Denton from Gotzi's Bar and Grill in Carmi, Illinois. We have a large menu that's guaranteed to please everyone in your group. We have everything from burgers, BLTs, grilled and breaded tenderloins, club sandwiches, to steak sandwiches, chicken Caesar wraps, Philly cheesesteaks, and sampler platters. We also have numerous salads like steak, grilled chicken, or breaded chicken Caesar salads, chef salads with ham and turkey, fiesta salads complete with your choice of meat, black beans, corn, tortilla strips, and much more. or just stick with the good old grilled chicken salad. We're located at 105 East Cherry Street in Carmi. Phone number 618-382-5715. And don't forget, we deliver. If you haven't tried Gotzi's, you don't know what you're missing. All right, we are back, and that print has finished. So let's show them the final product here.
All right. This is a wallet-sized, basically, knife and fork with even a toothpick. This would be great for when you go out camping, put it in your wallet or in your bag, or
A prepper.
Or if you're a prepper, if you got a bug-out bag, get a few of those and throw in there, and you could reuse them once or twice, or maybe a few more times, and then throw them away.
And that knife is actually really sharp.
Yeah,
the serrated is actually really sharp.
Can we see if it'll cut your finger?
I think it accidentally did when he handed it to me a little bit.
Too bad we don't have a little steak here. We could actually give it a test.
Yeah, a small steak.
Yeah.
Do you have any small steaks left?
Yeah, I do. Hey, good news, folks. Ryan's nice enough to give some of this stuff away. So, Skylar, what are they winning, and how do they win it?
All right, so we're going to do a little giveaway with these. We're going to have Ryan's wrote down 2 numbers on a piece of paper in secret. And for those 2 numbers, we're going to have you guess on our YouTube page in the comments.
Between 0 and 1,000.
1,000 million. No, I'm kidding. Just 1,000. 0 and 1,000. So what we're going to do is 2 giveaways. So the first giveaway will be, we've got the Homer Simpson. Let me get to that. We got the Homer Simpson with the very small and very detailed donut to have, which is really cool, and hopefully I win. And then you've also got a mask string holder for the back of your head, so that way you're not tearing your ears up. So you put your mask on these, and then it says, if you can read this, you were too close. Very much like that. So that'll be one giveaway, those 2 items together. And then our second giveaway will be what we just printed, the fork and knife and toothpick combo with Schmiegel.
My precious.
Very cool. So comment on our YouTube page. Comment a number on our YouTube page. I guess we'll do some sort of a time frame. Probably, about, I guess we'll give it 2 weeks.
1 week from upload date.
1 week from the upload date. And we'll kind of monitor that. And then we'll either announce the winners on our next podcast.
Yeah, we'll just do that.
Or you could go to our Facebook page, which is CarmiCast1 is the easiest way to find it. Facebook.com/CarmiCast1. Or just type CarmiCast in your Facebook search. We can release the name of the winners on that as well. If you have a very obscured YouTube name, you might want to put your name with it or something, because some people have Fire Dog 47, and I'm not really sure who Fire Dog is. So
They'll know though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So comment so you can win this cool stuff.
And sorry if I add one more thing in.
Yeah,
Oh,
go
yeah.
ahead.
With the straps, anybody local around here, medical nurses or doctors or anybody that needs a strap, contact me and I'll get you a strap, at no charge. I'd still want to be able to help out if I can. I did it for quite a while, but it seemed like the supply kind of met up with the demand, and so I slowed down. But if you do need some, contact me, and I'll get you a ear saver or something like that. I know wearing those masks can really irritate the back of your ears there for wearing them, 16 hours out of a day.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. One thing we're going to try to do with all of our guests is play some sort of game.
all right.
And I know you're a movie buff.
Yes, I am.
So I also know you're not a big fan of Christmas movies. So I'm trying to stump you at the same time here. So for those listening at home, here's your job. This is called Showplace Showdown. We're going to do this pretty frequently on the show, but it's simple. I will read a description that someone has put online of a movie, and I will do my best to leave out actors' names or important names.
Okay.
And at any point in the description, if I only get 3 words in and you think you know the movie, just say it out loud.
Okay.
Those of them who are watching or listening at home are going to try to beat you to the title of the
Beat me
movie.
to the punch. Okay.
Okay, we ready?
All right, let's do this.
Here we go. In the 1940s, a young boy named Ralphie attempts to convince...
Christmas Story.
Got it.
Man, he's quick off
Should
the
I
bat
finish
already.
the whole description? Or
Yeah, finish it.
Yeah, so that's right. To convince his parents, his teacher, and Santa that a Red Ryder BB gun really is the
You're going to
perfect
shoot your
Christmas
eye out.
Yeah. You know, I always say not to run with scissors, and I've never heard of anybody tripping and hurting themselves with scissors.
With a Red Ryder?
You better watch out. You have a very rambunctious
That's
children, plural.
Yeah, I do have a 3-year-old that got mad at how the Grinch stole Christmas because it was buffering and hit it and spiderwebbed my TV.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a story for a different day.
Oh.
Still a sore subject. All right, number 2. When a man inadvertently makes Santa fall off of his roof.
Santa Claus. Tim Allen.
Yeah, the Santa Claus.
Man.
Fall off his roof on Christmas Eve, he finds himself magically recruited to take his place. Number 3. Oh, everybody's going to get this one. After discovering he is a human, a man raised as an elf.
Elf. Will Ferrell.
That's right. A man raised as an elf at the North Pole decides to travel to New York City to locate his real father. Walter Hobbs was his name, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
his
sure,
father.
yeah.
Yeah, his Walter Hobbs.
The story of sister and brother, Kate and Teddy Pierce, whose Christmas Eve plan to catch Santa Claus on camera turns into
Christmas Chronicles?
That's it.
Wow, I had no idea.
I've never
I
seen it.
honestly don't even know that movie, I don't think.
It's got
It's got
Wyatt
Kurt
Earp
Russell.
in it, doesn't it?
It's got Kurt Russell and his wife is in it. She plays Miss Santa Claus. They actually just released part 2 on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Finley, my
Yep.
daughter's wanting to
It was
see
actually it was a really good movie, I thought.
He's going to get these. And he said he didn't know Christmas movies.
Yeah.
A lawyer and a little girl must prove that a man claiming to be Santa Claus is the real thing.
Ooh. A lawyer and a little girl must prove that Santa Claus is the real thing.
That a man claiming to be Santa Claus
to be Santa Claus
is the real thing. I've never seen this movie.
Oh, God, that sounds so familiar.
And keep in mind, these descriptions are anonymously written on IMDb as well.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so somebody might just be just throwing curveballs out there and just writing random stuff. Oh,
Do you have a
man.
year or anything? No
Yeah, a
details?
year would be great.
I'm sure I could look it up, but time's up. Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, man. That's a
Never
classic,
seen it, so I have
too.
no idea. Is that description right?
I've seen
yeah.
it, but it's been so long.
It's a
I've
very
never seen
vague
it.
description, but
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
Probably
definitely
should
the
have
description.
verified these before we did this.
Maybe.
All right, next. Oh, gosh. I remember this one. A father vows to get his son a Turbo Man action figure for Christmas.
Jingle All the Way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jingle All the Way. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
To the chopper.
That also had
Had Sinbad in it.
Sinbad.
Yeah, he was
the
hilarious.
other guy.
Postman.
right?
He was the other guy trying to get the toy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that.
However, every store is sold out of them, and he must travel all over town and compete with everybody else in order to find one.
Yep.
Jingle all the way. All right, next. The Griswold family's plans.
Christmas Vacation.
I was wondering why it was taking me
Yeah.
so long.
Yeah.
The Griswold family's plans for a big family Christmas predictably
Yeah.
You could have just
turns
dropped
into a big
Griswold.
disaster.
You could have just said
True.
the family's plan.
Yeah.
somebody out there may have beat him to that one quickly.
Maybe.
Probably
maybe.
As much as people watch that movie, you could have said
I bet you I have that movie memorized almost all of it.
Oh yeah. Oh god. That's one I watch every Christmas. That's
I feel like you have to.
yeah. That's
Well, if you have
one
the
of best.
TV on, you eventually
on.
will.
Have you watched the kind of reboot sequel with
Christmas?
Rusty?
I've seen the
Rusty.
Oh, is there more than one?
Yeah, well, Rusty. This one they made one that has Ed Helms, I think, from Hangover.
It was good.
I thought that was hilarious.
I did see that one. Yeah.
Yeah, he was obsessed with "Kiss Him a Rose." He always made the family sing it.
This one might be. Can I give a hint before we actually start? Like the year?
Yeah.
This one was 1988.
You're the one making this game.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. And I remember this. I actually like this one. A selfish, cynical television executive is haunted by three spirits.
This is a Bill Murray movie.
Oh, I know this one.
Bearing lessons
Yeah.
on Christmas Eve.
I already
This is
remember.
Scrooge.
Yeah.
Scrooge.
Yeah, with Bill Murray.
Man, I
great
beat him
movie.
on that one.
Bill Murray is probably one of my all-time favorite actors.
Oh, he's amazing.
Francis
I'm a Ghostbuster.
Xavier Cross was his name in the movie.
Yeah.
He's a cynical, mean
Anything that has Bill Murray, I'm gonna know because I'm a massive Ghostbusters fan. So I'm literally cannot wait until the new one comes out.
Oh, here's a good one. 1984. I'd have been 3.
Year I was born.
A young man inadvertently breaks 3 important rules concerning his new pet and unleashes Gremlins.
Yep.
Speaking of Gremlins,
We got a gremlin.
there he is.
Yeah, that's what happens when you put water on him.
Yep.
Don't feed him after midnight.
What was that one's name? Isn't this one the main one?
He was
Is it Spike?
I think the Mohawk guy was.
Spike was the Mohawk one. That was the one that was the intellectual one. The one that was doing like Larry King live.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he had his own little talk
Yeah.
show, didn't he?
Yeah,
I remember that.
There was more than one Gremlins, wasn't there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was
2.
part 2, and they're actually rebooting it right now. They're remaking it.
Of course they are.
Yeah,
Remaking every
they're
movie.
every
Might as
80s
well.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah, might as well.
As long as they don't remake Back to the Future.
Oh,
Robert Zemeckis actually said that he will not allow anyone, as long as he's alive, to remake that movie.
good.
Good move.
Yeah.
All 3 of those movies are amazing.
Yeah. Who in the world would play Doc Brown better? Anyway.
Who was it they said that they talked? They had talked about Marty being played by the Holland kid, the kid who played Spider-Man, the newest one.
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
I mean, he wouldn't be awful, I guess.
He wouldn't, no. And I can't remember who they had playing Doc.
They'd have to be just a goofy, crazy.
Yeah,
actor,
they
right?
would. And you
Jim
just
Carrey.
You couldn't emulate that. Yeah, maybe that's actually who it was. That might have been who they had thought
Jim
of.
Carrey's went off the Richter.
He has.
So,
He really has.
Have you seen any videos of him? He locked himself in this like warehouse now, and he hangs from a rope, and he like paints on this big canvas.
Yeah.
Like from the ceiling. He's lost it.
He's done had some kind of revelation. I don't know what's going on with that guy.
Yeah, he's lost it.
I love his movies. I really do. But
Oh,
man,
yeah.
he just kind of fell off there.
An NYPD officer tries to save his wife and several
Die Hard.
others. Yep. Taken hostage by German terrorists. during
Hans
a Christmas
Gruber.
Party at the
That's the best part.
Nakatomi Plaza in L.A.
Yeah, knocks Hans off the roof.
People are always arguing whether or not that's considered a Christmas movie.
That is most definitely. Last year, I 3D printed Christmas ornaments of Bruce Willis crawling through the air ducts.
Nice.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
I had quite a few people that wanted those. That I made them out of litho panes and actually the plastic, because you can make photos out of plastic and then basically just shine light through the back end
Oh
of
yeah,
them.
yeah. I've seen those.
It's kind of like a negative on the old school thing. Yeah.
But you
So
got to
that's
have
how
a
I
light
did.
up to it. To see
Yeah,
what it
so the way
is.
I designed it was basically you just put it up on your tree and have the lights on your tree shine through the back side of
You
it.
should do a whole tree like that.
You know, I had thought about maybe next year doing a whole tree of all 3D printed, because I can actually make, covers for the actual lights, all kinds
neat.
of stuff. So I thought about trying to do that.
Heck yeah. On the outskirts of Whoville lives
The
a
Grinch Who Stole Christmas. Now, are we talking about the animated, or are we talking about the Jim Carrey version?
Yeah, this would
Jim
be-
Carrey version kind of scarred me for life. Him
when
as
he was a child.
Yeah,
in that
that's
movie.
exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, this would be the one that cost me a 60-inch TV in my living room.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You had to throw that one in.
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
you?
yeah. All I think about is him as the kid in the classroom doing
His
that
eyes are all
wave.
buggy.
Yeah, doing that little
Yeah.
wave with the hair dangling from his fingertips.
And he tried to shave, and he's got like razor
yeah,
burns all
yeah,
over.
yeah.
My favorite part in that movie is when he tries to hail a cab and it blows past him, and he says, "It's 'cause I'm green, isn't it?"
yeah.
That's a very quotable movie.
Oh, yeah. An 8-year-old troublemaker must protect his house from a pair
Home
of
Alone.
burglars when he is accidentally left home alone by his family during
My
Christmas
son
vacation.
has become loved that movie. He's addicted, but he only wants to watch the end. He doesn't want to watch the beginning of the movie.
When all the
he
traps
just
start happening.
Yeah, he wants to watch
Yeah.
right when the traps happen, and he just cracks up the entire time.
I remember me and one of my buddies, Josh Allen, got a big piece of paper. Remember his battle plan that
Oh,
he had
yeah.
all drawn out?
Yeah,
And we had to draw our own battle plan in his
Nice.
house, you know.
nice.
All right. On Christmas Eve, a young boy embarks on a magical adventure to the North Pole on a particular train. While
Polar
there-
Express.
Yeah. Polar Express. That's another. Have you ever taken your kid to the Polar
I
Express?
haven't. I've been wanting to because Wyatt, he loves trains, so I've wanted to take him, but we just hadn't had the chance.
They're fun. There's one in
I've heard that they're really hard. They're usually like booked. They have so many people that want to go.
yeah, it's best you book a year in advance for sure.
Yeah, I really want to take him up. Isn't that up by French Lick?
I think so.
Yeah, I heard that.
There's several of them actually.
Yeah.
Is there? I'd
I've
like to
only
take
been
him
to
up there to
one.
French Lick too. I heard they have now they have an indoor water park in French
Yeah.
Lick.
Yeah, and they serve beer.
Really?
You
Then
sit there and drink beer and watch your
Yeah.
kids drown.
I'm gonna-
Can I go up there and drink beer and just watch kids drown?
You
Do you have
might-
to have kids?
Yeah, probably not. But they might ask you to leave.
Yeah.
yeah,
Might get put on a list.
yeah.
Two more. These are a little tougher, I think. Maybe not this one. A miserable con man and his partner pose as Santa and his little helper to rob department stores.
Home Alone 2.
I know this one. It's Bad
No.
Santa.
It is bad Santa.
Oh, it
We
is.
got him on one.
Oh,
To rob department stores
I
on
knew it.
Christmas Eve, but they run into
that's the
problems.
exact same thing as Home Alone 2, though.
Yeah.
It's the same
is.
thing. That's the same thing they do. They hide out in the store. Dang it.
That's the only bad thing about chiming in early.
Yeah, I thought I got cocky, and I thought I knew
That's
it.
fine. This one, let's just see how it goes. A couple struggles to visit all 4 of their divorced parents on Christmas.
4 Christmases.
It is 4 Christmas.
Yeah, that's a great movie. It's got Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn is hilarious.
Yeah, I like Vince Vaughn.
He's great.
I
Old
thought he
School was the best.
fantastic in True Detective.
Yeah, that show was great. I mean, it was something totally out of the box.
All of them have been good.
Yeah.
What was the movie that he used to be that he was in? One of his first ones. It was like when they go to Vegas and he's like a gambler. Is it Cheater or
Swingers?
Swingers? Yeah,
Swingers,
that's a
yeah.
good movie too.
Him and John Favreau.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a really good.
That
one.
was one of their first movies. I actually watched a little documentary on those.
I think
How
it
they
was-
made that movie.
I think it was Vince Vaughn's first movie actually.
Yeah, it was what
Very
kind of
first
launched
one.
his career.
Yeah.
They said they did a lot of the shooting. They did illegally. They didn't even have permits.
Oh really?
Yeah, they just went up and just did the shots real quick, and just took off.
Well, makes sense for that movie.
Yeah, yeah. And look at John, Favreau. I mean, he ended up being one of the top directors for Marvel. He made Iron Man 1, 2, 3.
Oh, he did all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he's an excellent director.
Well, I'd have to say that you're easily the fastest guest we've had so far with these.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're gonna have to
Javis, hopefully he's listening.
start. Chad.
Yeah, he's the slowest.
Yeah,
so far.
Chad.
Which,
Chad
of course,
did
we've only
answer me.
had 3 or 4, counting you.
Technically, yeah.
If we were just y'all just want to have another show and have a showdown.
I think we're
mean,
gonna have to start taking tallies. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that think they can beat you.
I mean,
Yeah.
they can
We
bring
might
it.
have to get
Well, and you got to think Christmas movies is his least favorite.
Yeah. You don't want to see me in my 80s and 90s genres.
Yeah.
We might have to start making a little bracket and putting
Lightning
it up on
McQueen,
the wall.
telling you.
We could always.
You can ask Lindsay. I can guess a movie before as the movie's starting on the TV. I can guess the movie by seeing like the production company symbols that come across and everything. I can guess it before they even show anything.
I'm going to do a shout out, and I will say my friend Clay Kittinger is a very, very big movie buff. That might be a decent challenge.
Yeah.
I'm going to call him out right now and say that he would lose.
Well, technically, since we can Bluetooth people in, we only would need one of them here, and we can actually call the other.
Well, there's a little bit of latency there.
Yeah.
You'd have to have them
There'd always be an
throat
asterisk.
to throat.
We can't have that.
Yeah, they got to sit next to each other, throat to throat.
Well, Ryan, we really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I know I learned some stuff. Hopefully, our listeners at home did.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to learn any more, contact me. I've always, I've thought about wanting to do, the whole pandemic kind of stopped that, but I kind of had plans of doing maybe like a workshop here in town, for teenagers and stuff that wanted to learn about it. I know the high school, they have their own 3D printer, but it's not a class designed just for 3D printing. It's, that's in I think their CAD class maybe or something.
Yeah.
And then only the teachers allowed to use the printer. They don't allow just the students to use it themselves, just for, reasons of, kids getting hurt and liabilities. I can see why, but I'd love to be able to show a lot of kids. I mean, they make printers now that are for kids, but there's a lot you need to know.
If you'd be interested in doing something like that, leave us comments in the YouTube, and we get enough people, we can get a hold of him and
even
help you make it happen.
We could even potentially do something up here virtually like that, maybe a little live stream class kind of situation.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, once again, Ryan Osborne from Ryno's 3D Print Shop. You can find him at facebook.com/Ryno 3D Printing Service, or email him at ryno3dprints@gmail.com. So from Ryan Osborne, Skylar Anderton, and myself, thanks for tuning in, and this has been Carmicast.